Earth's dramatic victory over the Council peacekeeping fleet sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, the Council faced a serious challenge to its authority. Director Carter wasted no time capitalizing on this momentum. "We need allies," Carter told his advisors. "There must be other species who resent Council dominance." Ambassador Nicole Grant nodded in agreement. She was a career diplomat with sharp eyes and an even sharper mind who had spent years studying the Council's relationship with minor species. The Solarians have been denied full Council membership for centuries despite their advanced culture, she said. The Voth were classified as a protected species when the Council discovered valuable minerals on their homeworld. And the Tellurians have been fighting Council oversight for generations. "Can you establish contact without the Council knowing?" Carter asked. "I believe so. The communication protocols we captured from Krivak's ship give us access to secure channels." Within weeks, Grant was meeting secretly with representatives from all three species in a hidden facility on Europa. The aliens were initially suspicious, but the evidence Earth provided about Council exploitation proved compelling. "For 300 years, the Council has classified us as developing," said the Solarian ambassador, a tall being with iridescent skin. "Yet they freely use our scientific discoveries without acknowledgement." The reptilian Voth representative hissed in agreement. "They claim to protect us while stripping our worlds of resources." Grant showed them data recovered from Council databases, revealing a systematic pattern of exploitation. Maps displayed hundreds of worlds where lesser species had been manipulated, their development carefully controlled to serve Council interests. "They've been harvesting resources from our worlds for centuries," Grant explained, "keeping us divided and dependent while maintaining the illusion of benevolent guidance." "What do you propose?" asked the Tellurian, a stocky humanoid with metallic blue skin. "An alliance. Earth will provide military technology and training. Together, we can break the Council's control." Over the next 4 months, Earth engineers worked with their new allies, upgrading their defensive systems and sharing Dr. Franklin's AI technology. Colonel Harrison's special forces trained alien military units in advanced tactics. "The Council doesn't understand what's happening," Harrison told Grant after returning from a training mission on the Voth homeworld. "They think these are isolated incidents of unrest." "That will change soon," Grant replied. "Our coalition forces are ready." On a date carefully calculated by Earth's strategic AI, the Alliance launched simultaneous strikes on Council supply lines throughout the galaxy. Solarian ships disabled communication relays. Voth forces seized control of mining operations. Tellurian hackers disrupted Council data networks. And Earth vessels appeared at key strategic locations, providing support where needed while capturing critical Council technology. The Council responded with confusion, then outrage. Their carefully maintained system of control was unraveling faster than they could respond. For the first time, they faced opposition on multiple fronts from species they had dismissed as inferior. At the Council's central chamber, representatives turned on each other as blame shifted from species to species. "Your security protocols failed," accused the insectoid representative. "Your intelligence services missed the human military buildup," countered another. The Draken representative pounded the table. "We should have exterminated the humans when we had the chance." As the Council descended into infighting, Grant met again with the coalition leaders. "The Council is fracturing," she said. 3 member species have already reached out to us privately, claiming they never supported the exploitation policies. "Can they be trusted?" asked the Solarian ambassador. "No," Grant said firmly. "But their division makes our next move easier." She activated a holographic display showing the location of the Council's homeworld, Arcturus. "Our intelligence suggests most of their defense fleet has been dispatched to quell uprisings. Their homeworld is vulnerable." The coalition leaders looked at each other, then back to Grant. The Voth representative spoke for all of them. "It is time to bring this Council to justice." United Earth Defense Director Alan Carter sat at his desk, reviewing the data package the Galactic Council had sent Earth following the Endeavor's return. His office overlooked the new Singapore spaceport, where ships from around the world prepared for their journeys to Earth's orbital stations. "They think we're children," Carter said, looking up at the Endeavor's crew seated across from him. His weathered face showed the strain of the past week, dark circles under his eyes from countless briefings with world leaders. Captain Nelson nodded grimly. "The Council treats all new species this way according to their own records. They classify civilizations into tiers. They've placed us in Tier 3, developing sentience with limited understanding of universal principles." Lisa Wright tapped her tablet, bringing up a holographic display. "The welcome package includes access to basic trade routes, limited technology exchange, and a cultural integration program." "How generous of them," Carter said with clear sarcasm. "And what did you find embedded in this gift?" Olivia Rice, the science officer from the Endeavor, stepped forward. She was a brilliant physicist who had helped refine Earth's FTL drive. "The technology they've provided contains sophisticated tracking software. Every ship using their navigation systems would broadcast its location, capabilities, and resources to Council monitoring stations. They want to watch our every move," Carter concluded. "What about the official representative they're sending?" "Jotar arrives next month," Nelson said, "officially to help guide our integration into galactic society." Carter stood and walked to the window. "Then we have 1 month to prepare. Earth will appear to accept its minor race classification while we analyze their technology and develop countermeasures." 3 days later, Carter met with a small group in a secure facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. The room contained only the most trusted scientists, military leaders, and government officials. "Project Trojan Horse begins today," Carter announced. "The Council believes we're simple, obedient newcomers. We'll let them think that while we learn everything we can." Commander William Patil, a former intelligence officer with experience in counterterrorism, outlined the plan. "We'll establish a public-facing space program that follows Council guidelines. Meanwhile, we're converting the Europa Research Station into our primary development facility, hidden from Council sensors by the radiation around Jupiter." Dr. Reyes presented her initial findings. "Their technology is advanced, but not incomprehensible. The quantum computing systems use principles we've theorized but haven't implemented. I believe we can not only understand their tech, but improve upon it within 5 years." "What about this Jotar?" asked General Louise Bennett, the United Military Force commander. "We'll give him exactly what he expects," Carter replied. "A primitive species grateful for guidance. Commander Patil will lead a team to monitor his every move and feed him carefully curated information." When Jotar arrived on Earth, he was greeted with elaborate ceremonies. The tall, blue-skinned alien seemed pleased with humanity's apparent deference. "Your species shows wisdom in accepting Council oversight," Jotar told Carter during their first private meeting. "Many developing races resist at first, to their detriment. We're honored by the Council's interest," Carter replied with a practiced smile. "Humanity has much to learn." Over the next 5 years, Earth played its role perfectly. Council observers reported a cooperative species slowly adopting approved technologies. Jotar sent regular updates praising humanity's compliance with developmental guidelines. But in the hidden facility on Europa, something very different was happening. Engineers worked around the clock, reverse engineering and enhancing alien tech. Ships with experimental drives were tested in the shadow of Saturn's rings. New weapon systems were developed using principles the Council believed humans couldn't understand for centuries. And deep in secure databases, Lisa Wright collected and analyzed every piece of information about Council operations, searching for weaknesses in the system that had already decided humanity's place in the galaxy. "They've underestimated us," Commander Patil told Carter during a secure transmission from Europa. "And that will be their biggest mistake." The colony on Proxima Centauri celebrated its 3rd anniversary with modest festivities. As Earth's first extrasolar settlement, New Hope had grown from a research outpost to a community of 12,000 people. Governor Susan Blake watched children playing in the colony's central plaza, their laughter a testament to humanity's successful adaptation to their new home. The attack came without warning. Proximity alarms, shouted the defense coordinator. Multiple ships entering orbit. Blake rushed to the command center where screens showed 7 vessels of unfamiliar design descending through the atmosphere. They were angular, with sharp edges that seemed designed to intimidate. "Open communications," Blake ordered, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The screen flickered to show a reptilian face with ridged scales and vertical pupils. "This is Commander Kraz of the Draken Empire. Your settlement occupies territory claimed by our people. You have 1 hour to evacuate before we begin purification procedures." "This planet was uninhabited when we arrived," Blake responded. "We have council registration as the legitimate settlers." The Draken commander made a sound that might have been laughter. "The council has no authority in Draken space. 1 hour, human. Then we start the culling of lesser species." The communication ended abruptly. Blake immediately contacted Earth while mobilizing the colony's limited defenses. New Hope had only 2 small patrol ships and basic shield technology. Nothing that could stand against the Draken fleet. The battle lasted less than 3 hours. Despite the colonists' brave resistance, the Draken forces overwhelmed them. Blake ordered an evacuation, managing to get 7,000 colonists onto emergency transport ships before the settlement's main dome collapsed. As her ship fled the system, Blake watched the colony burning on the monitors. But something caught her attention. A Draken officer speaking to another alien species on an open channel, unaware that humans could intercept their communication. The council representatives confirmed this area was open for cleansing, the Draken said. The humans were told to expect border disputes when they settled here. Blake immediately began downloading and storing the transmission. 3 weeks later, in the Grand Council chamber on Alpha Centauri Station, Earth's ambassador Kevin Nguyen presented evidence of the attack to the assembled representatives of the 17 major species. 5,000 humans died, Nguyen said, his voice echoing in the massive hall. "Our colony was legally registered with this council. We demand action against the Draken Empire." The chief council representative, a being of shifting luminescence named Sorrel, responded with what seemed like practiced sympathy. "This unfortunate incident appears to be a minor border dispute. The Draken Empire claims they were unaware of human settlement in that system. We have evidence proving otherwise," Nguyen said, nodding to his assistant who displayed Governor Blake's recording. The Draken explicitly mentioned council approval for their attack. A murmur ran through the chamber as the recording played, but instead of outrage, Nguyen saw only dismissal in the alien faces. "Clearly a misunderstanding," Sorrel said, waving a limb that dispersed the holographic evidence. "The council would never authorize aggression against developing species. Perhaps your translation systems are flawed." Blake, who had survived the attack and stood beside Nguyen, stepped forward. "I heard them speak of culling lesser species. There was no misunderstanding. The council has reviewed this matter and considers it closed," Sorrel announced. "We recommend humans remain within their solar system until they better understand galactic diplomacy." That evening, Nguyen transmitted his report to Earth. Director Carter read it with growing anger, then called an emergency session of the United Earth Council. For 12 hours, the leaders of Earth debated their response. Some advocated continued diplomacy. Others pushed for immediate military action. Finally, as dawn broke over the Singapore headquarters, they reached consensus. The vote was unanimous. Earth formally rejected council authority. "They see us as pawns," Carter told the assembled leaders after the vote. "The Draken attack was a test, to see how we would respond to being put in our place. Now they know." He looked around the room at the determined faces. "A shadow war begins today." Earth's rejection of council authority set in motion a carefully orchestrated plan years in the making. Hidden shipyards throughout the solar system increased production tenfold. The massive facilities in the asteroid belt, concealed from council observers, began assembling vessels that combined reverse-engineered alien technology with human innovation. Director Carter met with his military chiefs in the underground command center beneath the Pacific Ocean. Holographic displays showed the positions of Earth's growing fleet. "The Council believes we have 47 ships," General Bennett reported. "In reality, we now have over 300, with another 100 nearing completion." "And our special projects?" Carter asked. Dr. Maya Franklin stepped forward. The artificial intelligence specialist had spent the last 4 years developing systems that would give Earth an edge. "The Guardian network is fully operational," she said. "Our AI defense systems now surpass anything the Council employs. They rely on preset algorithms, but our systems can adapt in real time to new threats." Colonel Peter Harrison, commander of Earth's Special Forces, added his report. "My teams have completed 12 strikes against Draken outposts in the past month. The aliens believe they're facing technical failures, not sabotage." Harrison was a former Marine with a weathered face and quiet confidence. His forces had been training for years in secret facilities on Mars, adapting to different gravity conditions, and mastering alien technology. "The Draken don't understand why their communication relays keep failing," he said with a slight smile, "or why their weapon caches mysteriously explode." "What's the Council's response to our declaration?" Carter asked his intelligence chief. "Exactly as predicted," replied Director Laura Vega. "They're sending a peacekeeping fleet to the Sol system. 17 ships carrying representatives to help us understand our place in galactic society." Carter nodded grimly. "In other words, to force us back into compliance. They expect to find a primitive defense force they can easily overwhelm," General Bennett said. "They'll be surprised." 2 weeks later, the Council fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system. Their commander, an insectoid being named Krivak, broadcast a message throughout Earth's communication networks. "People of Earth, the Galactic Council has come to restore order. Your leaders have unwisely rejected Council protection. We will assume control of your orbital facilities until proper governance is restored." The Council ships moved toward Earth with the confidence of superior technology and firepower. They ignored the warnings from Earth's Defense Command. As they approached Mars orbit, Earth sprung its trap. Hidden defense platforms throughout the system activated simultaneously. A web of energy fields materialized, disrupting the Council ships' drives and weapon systems. "What is this technology?" demanded Krivak as his flagship's systems faltered. "This is beyond human capability." Earth's response came from General Bennett aboard the command ship Defiance, which suddenly decloaked directly in front of the Council fleet. "We gave you a chance to treat us as equals," she transmitted. "You chose to see us as primitives instead." The Council fleet found itself surrounded by Earth vessels that seemed to appear from nowhere. Dr. Franklin's AI systems had perfectly predicted and countered their approach vectors. "You have 2 options," Bennett continued. "Withdraw immediately, or surrender your vessels for inspection." Krivak, outraged, ordered his ships to break formation and attack. It was a disastrous decision. Earth's defense grid activated fully, disabling 13 Council ships in minutes without destroying them. The remaining 4, including Krivak's flagship, attempted to flee but found their jump drives inoperable. Meanwhile, Colonel Harrison led a boarding party onto Krivak's ship. His team moved efficiently through the alien vessel, encountering minimal resistance. In the command center, they found not just Krivak, but a senior Council official carrying detailed plans. "These aren't peacekeeping orders," Harrison said after scanning the documents. "These are plans for Earth's processing, resource extraction schedules, population control measures, and genetic sampling protocols." He transmitted the evidence back to Earth, where Director Carter shared it with every human settlement and outpost. "The Council never saw us as equals," Carter announced in a system-wide broadcast. "They saw us as resources to be harvested. Today marks the beginning of a new approach to galactic relations." The Shadow War had emerged from the shadows. Earth's dramatic victory over the Council peacekeeping fleet sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. For the first time in centuries, the Council faced a serious challenge to its authority. Director Carter wasted no time capitalizing on this momentum. "We need allies," Carter told his advisors. "There must be other species who resent Council dominance." Ambassador Nicole Grant nodded in agreement. She was a career diplomat with sharp eyes and an even sharper mind who had spent years studying the Council's relationship with minor species. "The Solarians have been denied full Council membership for centuries despite their advanced culture," she said. "The Voth were classified as a protected species when the Council discovered valuable minerals on their homeworld. And the Tellurians have been fighting Council oversight for generations." "Can you establish contact without the Council knowing?" Carter asked. "I believe so. The communication protocols we captured from Krivak's ship give us access to secure channels." Within weeks, Grant was meeting secretly with representatives from all three species in a hidden facility on Europa. The aliens were initially suspicious, but the evidence Earth provided about Council exploitation proved compelling. "For 300 years, the Council has classified us as developing," said the Solarian ambassador, a tall being with iridescent skin. "Yet they freely use our scientific discoveries without acknowledgement." The reptilian Voth representative hissed in agreement. "They claim to protect us while stripping our worlds of resources." Grant showed them data recovered from Council databases, revealing a systematic pattern of exploitation. Maps displayed hundreds of worlds where lesser species had been manipulated, their development carefully controlled to serve Council interests. "They've been harvesting resources from our worlds for centuries," Grant explained, "keeping us divided and dependent while maintaining the illusion of benevolent guidance." "What do you propose?" asked the Tellurian, a stocky humanoid with metallic blue skin. "An alliance. Earth will provide military technology and training. Together, we can break the Council's control." Over the next 4 months, Earth engineers worked with their new allies, upgrading their defensive systems and sharing Dr. Franklin's AI technology. Colonel Harrison's special forces trained alien military units in advanced tactics. "The Council doesn't understand what's happening," Harrison told Grant after returning from a training mission on the Voth homeworld. "They think these are isolated incidents of unrest." "That will change soon," Grant replied. "Our coalition forces are ready. On a date carefully calculated by Earth's strategic AI, the Alliance launched simultaneous strikes on Council supply lines throughout the galaxy. Solarian ships disabled communication relays. Voth forces seized control of mining operations. Tellurian hackers disrupted Council data networks. And Earth vessels appeared at key strategic locations, providing support where needed while capturing critical Council technology. The Council responded with confusion, then outrage. Their carefully maintained system of control was unraveling faster than they could respond. For the first time, they faced opposition on multiple fronts from species they had dismissed as inferior. At the Council's central chamber, representatives turned on each other as blame shifted from species to species. "Your security protocols failed," accused the insectoid representative. "Your intelligence services missed the human military buildup," countered another. The Draken representative pounded the table. "We should have exterminated the humans when we had the chance." As the Council descended into infighting, Grant met again with the coalition leaders. "The Council is fracturing," she said. 3 member species have already reached out to us privately, claiming they never supported the exploitation policies. "Can they be trusted?" asked the Solarian ambassador. "No," Grant said firmly. "But their division makes our next move easier." She activated a holographic display showing the location of the Council's homeworld, Arcturus. "Our intelligence suggests most of their defense fleet has been dispatched to quell uprisings. Their homeworld is vulnerable." The coalition leaders looked at each other, then back to Grant. The Voth representative spoke for all of them. "It is time to bring this Council to justice." Admiral Greg Foster stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Retribution, watching as his fleet exited hyperspace near Arcturus. The massive vessel, nearly a kilometer long, led a formation of 80 warships, the largest human fleet ever assembled. Alongside them flew the vessels of their coalition allies, the sleek, crystalline ships of the Solarians, the heavily armored Voth dreadnoughts, and the nimble Tellurian cruisers. Foster was a career military man who had commanded Earth's first defense against Draken raiders years earlier. Now he led humanity's most important mission. "Status report," Foster ordered, his voice calm despite the gravity of the moment. "All ships report ready, Admiral," replied his second-in-command, Captain Elinadias. "Coalition forces are in position. Council defense grid detected but not yet active. They don't believe we'd dare attack their homeworld," Foster said. "That arrogance will be their downfall." The Arcturus system was home to the founding species of the Galactic Council. Its central planet gleamed like a jewel, surrounded by massive orbital structures that had taken centuries to build. For thousands of years, this system had been the seat of power that controlled the fate of countless species. "We're being hailed," Dias reported. "Multiple frequencies, increasing urgency." Foster nodded. "Put me on all council channels." He stepped forward as the communication system activated. His image would now be displayed on every council communication device throughout the system. "This is Admiral Greg Foster of Earth. I speak not just for humanity, but for every species the Council has exploited, suppressed, and classified as lesser. Your reign of manipulation ends today." On the Council homeworld, panic spread through the governing chambers. Emergency alarms sounded as the Coalition fleet took position around the planet. Council Security Director Varnox rushed into the high chamber where the ruling council members had gathered. "How did they bypass our early warning systems?" demanded the council leader, a being of pure energy contained within an ornate housing. "Unknown," Varnox admitted. "Their technology should not be capable of this." On screens throughout the chamber, Foster continued his message. "We have accessed your records and decoded your archives. We know how you've manipulated developing species. We know about the worlds you've stripped of resources after classifying their inhabitants as protected species. We know about the civilizations you've deliberately kept divided and dependent." Foster's voice remained level, but his eyes burned with intensity. "You had your chance to accept us as equals. You chose exploitation instead. Now you will recognize us as your rulers." The council leader turned to Varnox. "Activate the Severance Protocol." Varnox hesitated. The Severance Protocol was the council's ultimate weapon, a device capable of creating a localized rupture in spacetime that would destroy any fleet in orbit. "Do it now," ordered the council leader. In the depths of the council's secure facility, operators rushed to activate the ancient weapon. Systems powered up as codes were entered and safety protocols overridden. But something was wrong. "The system isn't responding," reported the chief operator. "Someone has accessed the control protocols remotely." Aboard the Retribution, Chief Engineer Daniel Powell worked furiously at his console. Months earlier, Earth intelligence had discovered references to the Severance weapon in council records. Since then, Powell had worked to identify and neutralize the threat. "I've got it, Admiral," Powell reported. "Their weapon systems are locked down. The backdoor we found in their security protocols worked perfectly." Foster nodded in satisfaction, then continued his address to the Council. "Your doomsday weapon has been neutralized. Your fleets are scattered across the galaxy dealing with uprisings. You have no leverage left." He gestured, and a holographic document appeared before him, visible to all watching. "This is the new Galactic Charter. It guarantees the sovereignty of all sentient species. It establishes fair trade practices. It dismantles the tier system that has kept so many worlds in artificial development constraints." Foster's eyes narrowed. "You will sign this charter. You will acknowledge the rights of all species to develop without interference. You will make reparations to the worlds you've exploited." He paused, letting his next words land with full impact. "This is not a negotiation. This is humanity's ultimatum to the galaxy." 1 year after the confrontation at Arcturus, Representatives from 47 species gathered in the newly constructed assembly hall on neutral territory, a previously uninhabited world now named Concordia. The massive circular chamber replaced the hierarchical design of the old council chambers, with seats arranged in equal concentric rings. Ambassador Nicol Grant stood at the central podium, looking out at the gathered delegates. The former council species sat alongside races that had once been classified as developing or protected. For the first time in galactic history, all had equal voice and vote. The first session of the United Galactic Assembly is now in progress, Grant announced. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber without technological enhancement, a deliberate design choice to emphasize natural communication between species. The transition had not been easy. After the Council's surrender, some feared that Earth would simply replace one tyranny with another. Those fears intensified when Earth's military continued to occupy key strategic locations throughout former Council space. But Admiral Foster had surprised many by immediately beginning the withdrawal of Earth forces once the new charter was ratified. Within 6 months, coalition fleets had been reduced by 70%, replaced by a new jointly operated peacekeeping force with representatives from all member worlds. Our first order of business, Grant continued, is to finalize the rotation schedule for Assembly leadership. Earth has served as interim chair during the transition, but as agreed, this position will now rotate among all member species. A former Council representative rose to speak, one of the insectoid Kiddick who had once dismissed humans as primitives. Some of us were concerned about Earth's intentions after Arcturus. We believed you would simply take the Council's place. I must acknowledge we were wrong. Grant nodded in acknowledgement. Earth never sought to rule. We sought to lead. There is a crucial difference. In orbit above Concordia, Dr. Maya Franklin supervised the final installation of the Assembly's security system. Her AI network had been redesigned as a transparent monitoring system that no single species could control or manipulate. The safeguard protocols are active, she reported to Director Carter via secure channel. The system will alert all member species simultaneously if anyone attempts to develop superweapons or other prohibited technologies. Carter, watching from his office on Earth, nodded in satisfaction. And the historical archives, fully accessible to all members, Franklin confirmed. The Council's secret records have been decoded and shared. No more hidden histories. Back in the Assembly chamber, Grant yielded the podium to a Solarian representative who began outlining plans for healing worlds damaged by Council resource extraction. Behind them, a Voth and a former Council member worked together adjusting translation devices, symbolic of the new cooperation. In a private meeting room adjacent to the main chamber, Admiral Foster met with the commanders of the new Galactic Defense Force. The room contained representatives from 12 species, including former enemies. The border dispute between the Tellurians and the Draken has been resolved, reported the Tellurian commander. After centuries of Council manipulation keeping us in conflict, we've established mutually beneficial trade routes. Foster nodded, remembering the raid on the human colony that had started this journey years ago, and the former Draken colonies in the Proxima sector. They've agreed to reparations for the New Hope attack, said his aide. They're also helping rebuild the colony with advanced environmental systems. When the day's session ended, Grant walked with several representatives through the Assembly Gardens, where plants from dozens of worlds grew together in carefully designed harmony. Did Earth always plan this outcome? Asked a young Voth diplomat. When you sent your ultimatum to the Council, did you intend to create this assembly? Grant smiled thoughtfully. Our message to the galaxy was never truly about ruling. It was about creating a system where no species could dominate others. We needed to be forceful enough to break the old order, but wise enough not to replace it with something equally flawed. She looked up at the stars becoming visible as twilight fell. Humanity's final warning to the galaxy wasn't that we would rule forever. It was that no one should rule forever. The stars belong to all of us. As night fell on Concordia, the lights of ships from 100 worlds twinkled in orbit, not as conquerors or subjects, but as partners in a new galactic age. 20 years after the formation of the United Galactic Assembly, Earth celebrated the anniversary with representatives from across the galaxy. The Grand Plaza in New Geneva sparkled under the summer sun as diplomats, scientists, and military leaders from 100 worlds mingled with human citizens. Jack Nelson, now Admiral Nelson, watched the celebrations from a quiet corner. His hair had turned completely white, but his eyes remained sharp and observant. As commander of humanity's first deep space mission all those years ago, he held a special place in these celebrations. "Quite different from our first meeting with the Council, isn't it?" asked Lisa Wright, joining him. The former communications specialist now headed Earth's diplomatic corps, using her gift for languages to improve understanding between species. "Sometimes I can hardly believe we made it here," Nelson admitted. "When we discovered those encrypted transmissions about containment protocols, I thought we might be heading toward extinction." Across the plaza, children played in groups that included young aliens whose families had settled on Earth through the Assembly's open migration program. Humans likewise had communities on dozens of other worlds. The rigid separation the Council had enforced was becoming a distant memory. "Admiral Nelson," called a voice. Nelson turned to see a Solarian approaching, accompanied by a young human woman. "Ambassador Thelra," Nelson greeted the Solarian. "It's been too long." "Indeed," the crystalline being replied. "I want you to meet my apprentice, Kira Bishop. She's the first human to train under our diplomatic tradition." Nelson shook hands with the young woman. "Your grandparents were among the first humans to visit the Solarian homeworld, weren't they?" "Yes, sir," Kira replied. "They never stopped talking about how beautiful it was. Now I'm helping negotiate the joint research project between our worlds." Their conversation was interrupted by a slight vibration underfoot as the crowd turned their attention skyward. A massive ship was descending through the clouds, unlike any vessel humans had built. Its organic lines and pulsing light patterns marked it as something entirely new. "Right on schedule," said Wright with satisfaction. The enormous ship settled into a hovering position above the plaza. A section of its underside transformed, creating a platform that descended slowly to the ground. Standing on it were beings unlike any in the Assembly. Tall, ethereal creatures with bodies that seemed partly physical and partly energy. "The Ascendant," whispered Thelra with awe. "They've actually come." For centuries, even the Council had spoken of the Ascendant in hushed tones, an ancient species that had evolved beyond regular contact with younger races. They observed from the edges of known space, neither interfering nor communicating except on rare occasions of great significance. Director Carter, now in his 70s but still serving as Earth's representative to the Assembly, stepped forward to greet them. The leading Ascendant bent in what appeared to be a gesture of respect. "We have watched your assembly with interest," the being said, its voice somehow heard in the mind rather than the ear. "For 1,000 years, we observed the Council's rule and chose not to interfere. Their path led to stagnation." The being gestured toward the mixed crowd. "Your path leads to growth. We wish to share knowledge with those who understand that difference." Nelson felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to see Dr. Franklin, her hair now gray but her eyes still bright with curiosity. "They've been monitoring my AI systems," she said quietly. "They reached out 6 months ago through channels I didn't even know existed. They have technology that makes ours look primitive, but they wanted to talk about ethics, not engineering." As the formal greetings continued, Admiral Foster joined their small group. 20 years ago, we thought we were fighting to preserve humanity's place in the galaxy," he reflected. "Instead, we ended up changing the galaxy itself." Nelson looked around at the celebration, not of conquest or dominance, but of partnership. Humans hadn't come to rule the galaxy after all. They had come to help rebuild it. "The Council's greatest mistake," Nelson said, watching the Ascendant delegate speaking with representatives from 24 worlds, "wasn't underestimating our technology. It was underestimating our capacity to imagine a different kind of future." As night fell, The skies above Earth filled with spectacular lights as ships from across the galaxy performed a coordinated display. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not as rulers or subjects, but as architects of a new understanding.